Welcome back, everybody. This is QuestionMarc.
And I'm Ame.
And today we are doing the first of probably quite a few tier lists for the new commanders for the upcoming Marvel Superheroes Magic the Gathering set.
Seriously, there are almost as many commanders here as were in Final Fantasy.
Possibly more. I lost count, and at the time of recording, I'm not 100% sure that all of them have been revealed, but we need to break it down into sections anyway. So we're starting today with just the Avengers Commander deck.
Okay? Okay.
So we've narrowed it down to, only a dozen or so, and I am not including, maybe 2 dozen. I am not including any reprints because there are some from the Spider-Man set, and I'm not including here any cards that are in the standard legal set because we'll be doing a big multi-part for the standard legal set. That's the biggest chunk. So these are the ones that are unique to the Avengers Commander deck. If you want any of the cards that we talk about today, you'll want to get the Avengers Commander deck to find them. Whew.
And we'll be rolling out the next videos in short order.
As quick as I can, because there's so many. I'm gonna try not to talk for a million years about all of them. Also, I could not get a Scryfall search to filter out just the ones that are in this deck. There isn't a function for that I'm aware of. But we're starting in alphabetical order, which I had to do manually because there's blah blah blah. And that means the first one on our list is Ant-Man, Elusive Avenger. What does he do?
Let's see. For one, a blue and a red, you get a 1/2 human rogue hero. Ant-Man can't be blocked by creatures with greater power. Whenever Ant-Man deals combat damage to a player, create that many treasure tokens.
Oh, okay. We do like dealing combat damage to a player to get treasures. That, of course, will be ramp. And his first ability is literally exactly the same thing as Skulk. Wizards just started doing this thing where if they had a new mechanic, a new ability they wanted to put on a new card that was functionally identical to an old ability, they would call it by name. So they would put like Skulk and then in parentheses, can't be blocked by creatures of greater power. But they didn't do it for this set. For the Marvel Superheroes set, they seem to have designed it with the most entry-level players in mind.
Well, that makes sense. I mean, part of the reason we're even doing this cross-promotion is hopefully to get some more people into, well, either side of the equation, to get some more Magic fans into Marvel's Avengers stuff, to Marvel stuff, and to get Marvel fans into Magic stuff. So
Yeah,
it's fair.
I mean, Marvel as like a movie franchise, I feel like has peaked and is past its prime. Although the television series are kind of hit or miss. Some of them are pretty good.
I'd say less that it's past its. I'd say less that it's past its peak, and well, my estimate is that this is going to be with us for longer yet. So I'm just gonna say that we're kind of at an ebb rather than a flow, and that's okay.
Yeah. So, in any case, in other sets these days, this guy probably would have had Skulk. And honestly, I've argued that it does not increase complexity because it allows you to connect mechanics that already exist, and as long as you have it in reminder text, it's okay. But whatever. Regardless, this guy has Skulk, so which means that he's kind of unblockable when he's small. So he's at cross purposes here, where his Skulk ability makes him more likely to hit your opponent when he's small, but his treasure making ability makes more treasures the bigger he is. And the fact that he comes out for 3 mana instead of like 2 or 1 means that I think he's actually going to be kind of difficult to use. Like, he's not that good as is. So you're going to need to throw some stuff at it in order to make him better. Like,
Double strike
instants
sounds
that
good.
buff his power. That is actually a great idea because that does help him do more combat damage without increasing his power.
That's right.
So one of the best things I'm thinking of right now, and I need to have a new tab open for these, is Pemin's Aura. This is a classic. And I think what you can do here is this last ability. Enchanted creature gets +1/-1 or -1/+1 until end of turn. And you can do that repeatedly. So you could shrink him down to being a 0/3 to make him literally unblockable if you need to. And then after blockers have been declared and he's not blocked, you can then switch him into a 2/1 and get 2 treasures. You can also give him flying, you can untap him, you can give him shroud, all kinds of stuff like that. So Pemenzora seems pretty good as one of the only ways I know of both shrinking him and growing him in one card repeatedly. Other than that, I think you're going to be looking at instants that'll increase his power so that you can get past most blockers and then buff him. And then you get treasures for it. And that's all pretty good. And I haven't explained my scale today. We changed the scale a little bit, and we're going to keep this, I think, for the rest of the superhero stuff.
We wanted it to be on theme, so it would be fun.
So at the top of the list, we have My Hero. So I like that it is personal. These aren't just the good ones. These are the good ones that I personally like or that you like.
Yeah.
And super are the ones that we think are strong. They have clear potential, they'll clearly be good in perhaps other people's hands. Wild cards are the ones that are a little questionable, and I think probably Ant-Man's going to go in there where it's like, I can kind of see the deck, and getting lots of treasures is a really good thing. It's not too hard to do it.
I think you could make some interesting decks with this guy. It would just take some doing.
Yeah. And there are a lot of options. Most of these superheroes are going to have many different variations. So this is like the red-blue Ant-Man, if you really want to go that route. There's a green-blue one or two. So, definitely shop around,
Blue-red does make sense for Ant-Man, I will say.
It's one of the things that makes sense for him. I like green for the growing and blue for like the science. Red usually is for like mad science when it's combined with blue. And it depends on who we're talking about. Hank Pym is definitely a scientist. Scott Lang is a rogue, as it says on the card. So I'm thinking this is supposed to be Scott Lang, probably?
Judging by the quote at the bottom, probably.
Yeah. Okay, so just to cover the rest of the tier list here, Sidekick, that's going to be the same thing as Better in the 99 on most of our lists.
Yep.
That these are cards that I think have potential, but not as your commander. They don't make a whole lot of sense as commanders. And then lastly, we have Rejects, the cards that, you are basically giving yourself a challenge if you have this as your commander. They don't make a lot of sense. In Commander generally. So, that said, I think Ant-Man fits into Wild Card. And the next one on our list is going to be Black Widow, Agile Avenger. Where's she? There she is. Okay,
Black Widow, what that guy Avenger. Oh, sorry. I don't know what that guy behind her is angry about.
I know. He's like, dead ass though. Ah!
I call it like I see it.
He's the one saying, hello there. All right, what does she do?
For 1, a red and a white, you get a 2/2 human spy hero. She's got Menace. Whenever an opponent draws their second card each turn, put a 1/1 counter on Black Widow and you draw a card.
Okay. This is interesting. So, okay, you're going to see this a lot. If you haven't watched my videos before, I start a lot of these with the vanilla test. The vanilla test is how you determine kind of a starting point for commanders if they have, like, the proper heft for the cost. So, usually I'd say if it's a 3-mana creature, then they should have 3 power and 3 toughness on average. She doesn't.
But that's okay, because she's got some other things working for her.
Mm-hmm. And I would say on commanders that you don't intend to get into combat with, then you don't need to worry so much about it. And of course, the more abilities that they have, the more they make up for a loss of 1 power or 1 toughness or something.
Exactly.
Having Menace makes up for it a bit, but wouldn't do it by itself. Whenever an opponent draws their second card each turn, put a +1/+1 counter on her and draw a card. Now, a commander's ability to grow is great because it does provide you with a potential win con where your commander just gets bigger and bigger. She's got a form of evasion that is decent.
Attack of the 2020 woman.
Oh! I'm looking forward to it. So it's not the fastest way of growing, and it's not the best form of evasion, but it's decent. And then drawing a card. If your opponents draw extra cards, then you get to draw extra cards. I love that, especially since you can engineer it with all kinds of things. You could do it with Temple Bell, tap, everybody draws a card. You could do it with Howling Mine. That one's a classic, goes all the way back to Alpha. At the beginning of each player's draw step, they draw an extra card, as long as this is untapped.
That is such a cool picture.
Oh yeah, Howling Mine. Heck yeah. You're on a mine card to hell. So yeah, whenever an opponent draws their second card each turn, actually Howling Mine would be the easiest way to do it, but there's a few cards around the 2 or 3 mana range that could do this repeatedly. Draw you extra cards, sure, it draws your opponent's extra cards, but you'll be drawing at least as many, she'll be getting bigger, you're in red-white, colors that otherwise do sometimes struggle to draw cards. I'm not totally sure what you're going to do with the rest of the deck, but honestly, she seems pretty solid. More so than Ant-Man, I'm going to put her in Super.
Yeah, that seems about right.
Also, I do think it's interesting that Spy is a relatively new creature type here that you don't see much. Hero is, of course, as well. In fact, outside of the Spider-Man set, I believe the only heroes that we have canonically in Magic right now before this are the creature tokens made by the job select ability from Final Fantasy. Representing Final Fantasy XIV, your player characters are hero tokens. So, kind of tricky there, but... and there's some cards way back in the day that said hero, but haven't been properly errated back yet, so we'll see if they change those at some point. But next we have Captain America Team Leader.
Oh, I like this artwork.
Oh yeah, he is the face commander of the box. He's the first guy you're gonna see. Captain America getting right up in our face, and the classic team all around him.
For red, white, and blue, ha.
Yeah.
You get a 3/3 human soldier hero. Whenever another hero you control enters, it gains vigilance and haste until end of turn. Put a 1/1 counter on that hero and a 1/1 counter on a Captain America. Avengers Assemble.
Hell yeah.
For France.
What? By the way, you may note that over here it says the mana cost is blue, red, white, because in Magic we do have an order that the mana symbols normally appear, and this is not it. They specifically changed the order of the mana symbols
to look like the French flag.
Sacre bleu. So Captain America and very few others have the mana symbols in that order, just because he's so goddamn American. Oh, we have an alternate art here? Oh, not really. Okay, probably just... each of these decks, by the way, has a normal version and a collector version where every card in it is a Surge foil. Those are kind of for scalpers, if you ask me. I wouldn't bother, personally. So, back on the mechanics here. Vanilla test, do we pass?
Oh, yes, we do.
We do, actually. And so this guy encourages you to build a hero deck. Makes sense. Every time that a hero enters, it's getting vigilance and haste, which is awesome. You love your creatures entering with haste. They get a +1/+1 counter. He gets a +1/+1 counter. Honestly, this guy is awesome. He's probably going to be the best hero commander, which is a theme that I was kind of surprised wasn't developed as much as I expected.
But it looks like we're making up for lost time.
Yeah, I like that he's only 3 mana. I like, a lot of the other things on him. He grows. I mean, granted, he doesn't draw you cards. He doesn't ramp you mana. He doesn't cheat out things or straight up win the game. But he will be a great synergy piece and encourage you to build a themed deck. And
he's a great facilitator of the game.
And I love decks with themes. If you don't have a strong theme to your deck, then I'm kind of bored. So
themes are fun.
Yeah, and I'm glad that this Captain America does this theme well. There are a lot of heroes in this set, and surprisingly few cards that are really good with them. So next we have Captain Marvel Apex Avenger, which they've chosen some kind of strange art for her here. Seems like some comic from the 80s or something with this hair. And she's punching a kind of alien that
A bug thing.
I am not deep enough into the Marvel lore to know who these guys are.
I can't help you.
But Captain Marvel Apex Avenger, what does she do?
Well, for 5, a red, and a white, you get a 4/4 human Kree hero with flying, double strike, and indestructible. Whenever you put one or more counters on another creature, if it's not a Kree, you may put the same number and kind of counters on Captain Marvel.
So, all of these cards...
I guess she's the only Kree who's allowed to Kree.
Yeah, I mean, if the movie is any indication, and I have seen the 2 movies with her in it, the Kree are not good people, actually. So she was kind of abducted by them, and she had amnesia where she thought she was one of them because she has like an infusion of Kree blood. But eventually she remembers, no, actually, I'm from Earth, I'm a human, and the rest of the Kree actually suck because they like brainwashed me and abducted me and trained me for years.
I was watching Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. for a while, and the Kree came up there too.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't finish the whole thing, but I didn't feel like I had to.
No, I mean, there's a whole lot of MCU adjacent stuff out there, and it's hard to keep track of it all.
The way
I watch most of it, but not far from all.
I try to keep a narrow focus on characters and plot lines that I like in particular. That way I'm getting, my dose, but I'm also not feeling paralyzed by, oh god, I'm gonna have to spend the rest of my life catching up.
Also, from a mechanic standpoint, she's reminding me of 1-800-Are-You-Flappin', aka Zatalpa Primal Dawn, given her flying, double strike, and indestructible, and high mana cost, and 4 power. All of those things make Zatalpa the go-to white bomb that you can drop on people. And so she doesn't have quite the same toughness, but of course if you're indestructible, who cares? She doesn't have vigilance or trample, but also she costs 1 mana less. And as a commander, she gives you access to the color red, whereas Zatalpa is a pretty bad commander, honestly. So when you put 1 or more counters on another creature, if it's not a Kree, you put the same number and kind of counters on her.
So you want them counters.
So, of course, if Captain America is your captain, and not Captain Marvel, then she's going to be getting a +1/+1 counter. Your other heroes are getting them. She's just about the only Kree in this set, and a couple other variations of her.
So you're not likely to run into them.
Yeah, and
they're probably not going to be a problem.
She does her thing with any creatures that aren't Kree. So maybe avoid changelings? I think that if you do a lot of different kinds of counters, this could be pretty cool. But she does cost 7. I think that takes her down multiple notches.
Yes.
So I don't think that she's bad. Is she better in the 99? I'm going to actually say wild card, because while in a lot of ways she's better in the 99, she could be better still as a commander if you put a wide variety of counters in your deck.
Right.
So, find your lifelink counters and your menace counters and
your shield counters.
Oh, yeah, good call. Good call. I was thinking about keyword abilities, but shield counters are great too. Wait.
But she's indestructible, so maybe that's a little pointless.
Wait a second. Actually, never mind. Because shield counters prevent damage and destruction. And indestructible does that too. But you know what? She'll pick them up. She'll pick them up.
Just in case.
Mm-hmm. One last thing I'm thinking here then is Power Conduit. Is a way of removing a counter from a permanent you control and putting a different kind of counter on another permanent you control. So you can pick up shield counters or whatever kind of counters and put +1s on people and charge counters on things. So this might go in the deck, I don't know. But I'm still going to say that she's kind of a wild card here, because that's just a lot of mana. That said, the next one alphabetically is Director...
Nick Fury.
Yep.
The man.
Now, he's not so patriotic that he got the mixed around mana symbols, because Captain America is America. Director Nick Fury, he's a spy.
Captain America is America at its best. He's the ideal
Yes.
form of America rather
Yes.
than the actual form of America. If you want to know who that
Yes.
is, go look at Patriot.
Oh, yeah. So, what does he do?
Well, for a blue, red, and a white, you get a 2/4 human spy hero. Hero spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. Whenever you attack, look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may reveal a hero card from among them and put that card into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order.
Okay, so this is the alternate commander for this deck, and it makes total sense. That the two people who should lead the Avengers are either Captain America being the field leader or Nick Fury being the operations leader.
Yeah.
And that is kind of how they play. Captain America makes all of your creatures on the battlefield better. This one makes them easier to find and deploy. And they both cost the same amount of mana, so it is kind of a toss-up of which you want as your commander, which one's debatably better. You could argue this one's better because it helps you find heroes, not just when he attacks, but when any of your creatures attack. You get to dig 4 deep. You may reveal a single hero, okay, and put it in your hand, and then they cost 1 less. So,
Heroes at a discount.
I would say that you kind of flavor to taste here. Do you have so many heroes in your deck that you're drawing them at a regular pace and you just need them to be stronger? Cap. Do you actually just need to get more heroes all the time? Flood the field and they're strong enough as is? Director Nick. So I think I got to put them right next to each other. And I'm thinking that in order... Nick Fury is probably better at like getting your game plan working, and Captain America is better at turning your game plan into wins. So he makes it smooth. He makes it punchy. It's kind of a toss up.
Do what you like.
Yeah, but they both seem super. And next we have Falcon and Red Wing. Let's see here. One of, again, many versions of Falcon.
Who's red? Oh, is the Red Wing the Hawk?
Red Wing is the Hawk. Red Wing and I are here, Cap, and we brought some reinforcements.
Burbs! I see you brought some pigeons.
Yeah, all kinds of things. So, what do they do?
Well, for 2 and a white, you get a 1/2 human bird hero with flying. And whenever Falcon and Red Wing deal combat damage to a player, create that many 1/1 white bird creature tokens with flying, and then put a 1/1 counter on Falcon and Red Wing.
Okay.
Birds!
So this is both Falcon and his bird, because classically he did have a hawk, I believe a red-tailed hawk, as his companion there, his eyes. He has some kind of like telepathic link with it in the comics originally, so he can like see what it sees, hear what it hears, stuff like that.
I see.
It's weird that them together only adds up to 1 power, but if this creature had 2 power, he'd be awesome. As is, he's probably pretty good.
You do know that you have to put in, what was it called, Nesting Dove?
Oh, Nesting Dove Hawk. Yeah, let's pull up that one, because I think that is a great fit. Nesting Dove Hawk. You want to read it for the class?
Sure. For 3 and a white, you get a 2/2 bird with flying. But most importantly, at the beginning of combat on your turn, populate. That's you create a token that's a copy of a creature token under your control. Whenever a creature token enters the battlefield under your control, put a 1/1 counter on Nesting Dove Hawk. And of course, it's mono white, so it goes pretty it's a white card, so it goes perfectly with this, and also more white birds.
Oh, yeah. And I've seen someone open the box of this, and all the creature tokens in the back of it are bird on one side. So you are prepared with at least 10 bird tokens. They're all different things on the other sides, I think, but they're all bird on one side, so you can make a lot of birds with this.
If you want to make a deck based on The Birds by Alfred Hitchcock, I think that this is your commander.
I don't know. I would think that the birds from Alfred Hitchcock would have to include red or black somehow, but still, a bird-themed deck would be great here. And all you gotta do is put a little bit more power into Falcon and Red Wing, and then they go the heck off.
Bird explosion.
Yeah. So,
No car hood is safe.
so I love Lava Spur boots in a bunch of decks, but this is a particularly great place for it. Ward 1 helps a little bit. Haste helps a lot. And adding one more power. Because your commander, he makes you that many birds. So the more damage you deal, the more birds you make. So if you start off with 2 power, you're doing great. But every time that you hit, you get another counter. So it's built in that he does grow. You just need to protect him a bit. Normally, I'm down on monocolor commanders quite a bit.
Because of how limited they are in their scope.
Yes. Because every color has strengths and weaknesses, and sticking to just one color means that you are stuck with its weaknesses and no way of covering that. But I think that this theme is supported well enough by mono white that it's totally doable. This is probably not going to be crazy strong. It's probably going to be a good bracket 2 deck. Actually, might be a sick bracket 2 deck because a lot of bracket 2 decks will fold to flyers, to armies of flyers. And I have one more thing that I want to throw at people here. There's a lot of things that you can put on this commander to make it better, but one that you might not think of is Ring of Thune. It will give your commander vigilance, which is great. If your commander is getting bigger all the time, it's great if you can attack with it and still block with it. And it grows every turn as long as it's white, which all the creatures in your deck are white. So other than that, just look up bird stuff, and I think this commander is surprisingly good.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to put him here. He doesn't draw cards, he doesn't cheat things, but he's got a really solid game plan and a solid theme.
Birds.
So next we're looking at Firebird.
More birds.
Kind of, although Falcon was literally a bird on the creature type because of Red Wing. Firebird, she's like in a Firebird. Blazing Ranger, I don't know this character, but go ahead.
I actually don't know this character either, I'm sorry.
Yeah, okay.
All right, for 2 into red, you get a 1/3 human ranger hero with flying. Whenever Firebird attacks, other attacking creatures get +X+0 until end of turn, where X is Firebird's power. So at minimum, they're getting 1.
Okay, so when she attacks, your other attacking creatures get 1 extra power. You can buff her, and then they get a lot of extra power. Okay, so remember when I talked about the monocolor commanders? I think that holds her back a lot, because I don't think that this is a strong enough theme to build around. It doesn't come out particularly early. I'm really leaning towards sidekick on this one.
Ouch.
Well, but I do see that ability can be quite powerful, especially if you do throw at her things like Brute Strength, I think is the card. Well, not exactly, but close enough. Brute Force, I think, is the card I'm thinking of. Yeah, because Brute Strength gives +3/+1 for 2 mana and trample, but Brute Force gives +3/+3 for 1 mana.
Woo!
So a 1 mana spell is really what you want. So you can attack with Firebird, but for buffing all your creatures for 4 instead of for 1.
It looks like Firebird goes... If you're making a deck with her, you want to go all in for attack, which kind of leaves you vulnerable to everything else.
Very much so. And obviously she wants to go...
cannon.
Yeah, and she wants to go wide. So the more creatures that you have, the better. But what kind of creatures are you making? Elementals are kind of easy to make. Goblins are pretty easy to make. But then why not build an elemental commander or a goblin commander? There aren't really rangers to speak of, and heroes are new. So human, I don't know, she could slot into a human deck, but also you would ideally want to put her in a deck that would play a few things like Brute Force, or maybe some equipment to put on her to increase her power.
Sounds like all in all she's better in the 99.
Yeah, if you're playing her as your commander, you could really go all in on these effects, but then you're going to run into those weaknesses where you can't get rid of an enchantment, or you can't kill a creature that has a big toughness, or you can't block, whatever, and you're going to struggle. So, sidekick, I think. Next, we have Hawkeye, Avenging Archer. Once again, one of many Hawkeyes that we'll see in the coming days.
I see this one took a barbershop tip from Guile.
Oh, a bit. It's like short Guile hair. And this is, of course, the red-blue Hawkeye. There are other versions, but what does he do?
For 2 mana, a blue and a red, you get a human archer hero for 3/4, with 3/4, and reach. Whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, if Hawkeye dealt damage to it this turn, draw a card. And for a tap, Hawkeye deals 1 damage to any target.
So, tap and deal 1 damage to any target. For those who aren't in the know, that's called a ping. And pings are pretty good, especially on creatures that you want to keep up as a blocker so that you can ping at instant speed, so that your opponents can never safely play a creature with 1 toughness ever. So keep that in mind. If you're a newer player and aren't really familiar with the best way to use pingers, wait till the last possible moment. You should be able to get a kill off of this either every turn or prevent your opponents from playing 1 toughness creatures and then bop somebody.
Give him vigilance and he's terrifying.
Oh, also, if you see a creature about to die from anything, like freaking Doomblade being cast on a creature, or, whatever people actually cast instead of Doomblade, in response, ping it. You get to draw a card. Because, it doesn't have to die to the 1 damage. It just has to have been dealt 1 damage in the same turn that it died.
Hawkeye just has to be able to go, I helped!
So the tricky thing is, how can you... you want to maximize this ability. Killing creatures is good. Drawing cards is good. But that alone wouldn't be enough. So you probably want things like... what's it called? Thornbite Staff. Now, this is a little bit of a clunky card because it costs 2 to cast and 4 to equip. It would equip for free to a shaman, but they're not really doing shaman anymore. So you gotta, that's all tough. And this first ability here, 2 and tap to deal 1 damage to any target, forget about it. All that matters is this. Whenever a creature dies, untap this creature. You throw this on Hawkeye, and every time that he assists in killing 1 creature, he draws you a card and then untaps so that you can assist in killing another creature.
A quiver full of arrows.
Absolutely. That's when his quiver is always full. One other thing that you can do to him to make him absolutely nasty, if you really want to piss off your casual friends, give him a Basilisk Collar so he has Death Touch.
Oh!
Every arrow becomes deadly and gains you a life. So you will always draw a card with him. And honestly, you should probably play multiple effects that give Death Touch, but this is the best of them. So Hawkeye on his own is... but you throw a couple of equipment at him, and he starts to get pretty good. So to me, I'm thinking he's kind of a wild card. Better than Captain Marvel, better than Ant-Man, honestly, because throwing a few equipment and things onto him, I think, is a fairly sound strategy. But considering that he doesn't play very well without adding some elements, I'm not putting him up in Super.
Okay.
So next we have Hercules, Olympian hero. A character barely seen in the MCU yet, as far as I know.
If I recall correctly... Wait, no, this Hercules is a hero. It's the DC one that's a jerk.
Oh, okay. I think this one's kind of a jerk in the MCU as well, but it's more those, like... the only time that I remember seeing him is in the end credits scene of Thor Love and Thunder, a movie you haven't seen.
Somebody got lost.
Yeah. They're like... I'm mad at Thor. Why don't you go and beat him up? And Hercules is like, all right. and then we haven't seen him in a few years. But what does he do?
Well, for 3 mana, for 3 and 2 white, you get a 3/3 demigod warrior hero. Whenever Hercules attacks, put a 1/1 counter on him. He gains indestructible until end of turn.
Cool.
Whenever Hercules is dealt damage for the first time each turn, put that many 1/1 counters on him. He must survive the damage to get the counters.
Okay, so when he's attacking, since he gains indestructible, he's gonna survive the damage. But if he's blocking on other people's turns, then he might not. So,
Attack, attack, attack.
and this is another situation where if your commander wants to get big and swing a lot, it's really nice if they gain vigilance. And if you're playing mono white, it's the easiest thing in the world to give the guy vigilance. Heck, you can usually do better than vigilance by playing reconnaissance. Please tell me I spelled that right. I'm not sure I did. I did
Nope,
not.
it has...
There's two freaking S's. Okay, and let's look at a modern printing of it like this. So, 1 mana enchantment, you can pay 0 and remove an attacking creature you control from combat and untap it. You can activate this at the end of combat, and the creature will untap even after it has already dealt combat damage. So, for 1 mana, this effectively gives all of your creatures better than Vigilance. Because they can attack and then untap, and if they get into a bad blocking situation, you can take them back out of it. Hercules, though, almost never in a bad blocking situation, because whenever he attacks, he gets bigger and indestructible. But yeah, Vigilance is great on this guy. So other things about him, though. Well, he gets bigger when he's dealt damage for the first time each turn. People will want to chump block him, and that's probably the way that he'll get bigger, is by people going like, oh shoot, I don't want to take 5 commander damage right now, so I'll put my insect token in the way, and well, okay, he's bigger. But say you want to force the issue. How can you trigger Hercules' ability yourself in mono white? Well, the most fun way that I can think of is Light Mine Field. Do you want to read that one for the class?
2 mana, 2 white. Whenever one or more creatures attack, Light Mine Field deals damage to each of those creatures equal to the number of attacking creatures.
There you go. So if you're attacking with Hercules by himself, then he is dealt 1 damage, and then, ta-da, you get 1 counter. But if you're attacking with a few creatures, you will do that much damage to each of them. So you can kind of judge how many creatures you want to throw into combat based on, how many of them will die themselves. Hercules doesn't really encourage you to do a go-wide strategy at all. But, of course, at the same time, the main thing that Light Mine Field does is discourage your opponents from attacking with more than 1 or 2 creatures, because their creatures will die just from being declared as attackers.
Yep.
I've seen Light Mine Field go crazy before. In decks like a Zur, where they turn it into a creature that's indestructible. So yeah, I highly recommend Light Mine Field. I already talked about Ring of Thune on another commander. So this is another one that I think that Mono White has all the tools that it needs to make Hercules really strong. He doesn't draw you cards. He doesn't have built-in trample. You really want to have like trample or something on this guy. So, but there's a lot of equipment that'll handle that. So go find your Loxodon Warhammers and stuff, your Shadow Spears, put it on him, and I think you're going to have a pretty good time. I'm going to put this guy, I'm thinking probably at the top of, probably here in the wild cards. I think he's strong, but
but needs equipment to be most effective.
Yes. Unlike Falcon and Red Wing, where the flying strategy will win, he needs some help.
Right, he needs a little boost.
Yeah. But they're out there. The tools exist, so you can definitely do it. Next, we have Iron Man. Have you heard of Iron Man?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, he's pretty popular these days, but he used to not be until something happened in 2008.
Yeah, it was called Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah, Robert Downey Jr. happened. And this one is specifically the Armored Avenger. How does he read?
Well, for 3 into blue, you get a 2/2 human hero with flying. Whenever you draw a card, put a 1/1 counter on target creature. Whenever Iron Man attacks, other attacking modified creatures gain flying until end of turn.
Okay.
So that includes stuff like equipment, auras you control, and counters.
Yeah. So, other attacking modified creatures gain flying. Okay, so other attacking modified. So, his last ability doesn't benefit himself at all. He already has flying, of course, so he doesn't really need it. And you can see that in the background, this is like when he's made Iron Man suits for the whole squad. So they can all fly. Like, Black Panther is pretty OP, except that he's stuck on the ground. He can only kind of jump pretty good. So give him an Iron Man suit, and God, he's
And
kind of
now you're in
unstoppable.
trouble.
Captain America looks like he's got like an energy shield or something.
Sick.
Captain Marvel is probably weaker with this suit on. And then is that supposed to be Iron Spider, the Iron Man thing, or is that
I think that's Iron Spider. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's Iron Spider. I mean, how else do you explain the legs?
Yeah, I don't know. Well, regardless, I don't know that this is that good. 4 mana for a 2/2, and the main well, okay, the main thing that he does is grow and make your other creatures fly when he attacks. That's not bad. Neither of those things are bad. In fact, I do like that this is uncapped. Like, it doesn't say once per turn or something. And it can make him grow or your other creatures. And I think, of course, the intention here is that when you draw a card, you put a +1/+1 counter on one of your other creatures, suiting them up so that they can fly when he does.
Yeah.
Okay, so, however, all of that seems like sidekick material to me.
Oof. He's not gonna like that.
No, he's not. This is a mono blue deck, the easiest color to get flying in. It's also the easiest color to draw cards in, but
So it kind of feels like we're reinventing the wheel here.
yeah, I mean, it's the color that's least likely for your other creatures to need flying. You're also going to be narrowed down to just the things that blue can do. And blue can do a lot of things, but still, this doesn't sound like a terribly interesting or exciting deck. And there's lots of decks out there that are already based on +1/+1 counters and modified creatures and stuff. I think that he's going to go great in the 99 in one of those, and not that exciting as a commander. So,
Fortunately, this isn't the only Iron Man card, but but we won't really be getting into that today.
he is in fact pretty popular, so he shows up in a lot of these. Next, we're looking for Jarvis, which is a fun include. Geez, you can see a few Iron Men right there. But we're covering them another day. For now, we've got Jarvis, Earth's mightiest butler. Because yes, in the comics, Jarvis is a man. And in the movies, he was like an AI voice in the
Yeah,
suit.
an AI assistant.
Yeah. Well, what does he do?
Back before AI was a dirty word.
Yeah.
Memories. Anyway, for 2 and a blue, you get a 1/4 human advisor. Whenever you cast a hero spell, draw a card.
I mean,
I'd put him straight in the 99.
unsurprisingly, he does seem well suited to being in the 99. If you're playing him as a commander, then you're playing mono blue. All he does is draw cards when you cast hero spells, so you're just playing a lot of hero spells
You're
and
just playing
drawing
blue
cards.
heroes.
And that's
Maybe
okay.
a little too
but
narrow.
yeah. But he is a great effect. If he wasn't stuck on one color, honestly, he'd be even better. But also a 1/4 for 3 is not terribly exciting. So there's not a whole lot to say about this guy, other than I believe they did retcon Jarvis into the MCU with the Agent Carter TV series that is set during the Cold War, where Jarvis is a real person who is a butler to Howard Stark, Tony's dad, and the inspiration for Jarvis the AI. Yeah, so that works. Especially since in the comics, characters kind of never grow old and die, and in real life they do. So that does that.
One culture commentator that I like called Movie Bob once did a very interesting piece on how Marvel handles their timeline versus how DC handles their timeline. They're different approaches.
Yeah. Well, I'm not much of a DC guy, but that could be a topic for another day. Jocasta Automaton Avenger.
Why would you name someone Jocasta?
Does that name mean something to you?
Yes, Jocasta is the name of Oedipus's mother wife.
Oh no. Okay. I think that she was created to be like the wife of Ultron, in order to kind of rein Ultron in. And I guess she's in the Avengers deck because she's actually a good person. She's a hero, whereas Ultron is not.
I'd probably have a few words to say to my creator if I was made to manage the instability of a male counterpart.
Yeah, I mean, she's very much the bride of Frankenstein in this story.
Yeah.
And also, if I remember right, Ultron took the like psychic imprint or like brain imprint from Hank Pym, and Jocasta took the mental imprint from the Wasp, from like his wife or whatever. And
Okay.
canonically, he is a kind of shitty guy actually, and she's really nice. And there's a storyline famously where he is like a domestic abuser,
Yes.
and that does like fit into why Ultron is actually pretty shitty, and Jocasta is not. So, all that said, what does the magic card do?
Well, for 3, you get a 2/2 robot hero with flying. Whenever your commander deals combat damage to a player, put a 1/1 counter on Jocasta. Whenever you attack with your commander, if this card is in your graveyard, you may return it to the battlefield, tapped and attacking.
Well, I think anyone with eyes to read can tell at this point that she's a really good sidekick.
Right.
Because she doesn't say, she's not referring to her, she's referring to your commander. Of course, colorless commanders are really tough. They have an even bigger problem than the monocolor ones.
Right.
So I wouldn't normally recommend all but the best of the colorless commanders, but she cares about what your commander is doing if she's in 99, including reanimating herself and growing. So she seems great if your deck is going for a robot theme, a hero theme, if it needs more flyers, if it needs a creature that you can, I don't know, throw under the bus or in a fridge or something. Because, yeah, as if that doesn't happen to enough girlfriend characters in comics. She does have the whole, if you throw me under a bus or in a fridge, I'll come back. So, okay.
This card is a little. This character. Okay, the card's fine. The character, I think, is messed up.
Yeah, I think that she does fit into that archetype, which would possibly be offensive if it wasn't for the fact that she's a robot.
Honestly, it doesn't. To me, it doesn't really help that she's a robot because, I mean, as you just pointed out, if Ultron is derived from Hank Pym and Jocasta is derived from his wife, who suffered DV at his hands, and the point of Jocasta is to calm down Ultron, it's like, whose idea was this? Put your hand down, Richards!
Ooh, I think it was the Pims, but, troubled, checkered past. And also, I think that this is kind of a way of exploring the kind of problematic history of comic book characters being done dirty like this in a way that is kind of a metaphor rather than having a real person being affected by this.
I guess, but it still puts out a weird message into the world. I mean, who knows? Maybe it's just that her origin is messed up, but now we're kind of stuck with it because it's lore, because it's canon now. And nowadays, stories with her, I guess, could explore that dynamic. Maybe Jocasta calls out her creator for doing something so weird.
Yeah.
And maybe she flies off to find her own identity outside of being Ultron's counterpart.
Perhaps. I'm not that familiar with her other than her like origins and stuff. And lastly, I was just thinking about do you remember the movie AI?
Yes. I like
and
that one.
how that movie shows the like abuse that all these robots suffer, and because they resemble people, it can really make you go like, oh no, imagine if we're doing that to people. Oh wait, we kind of are, just in a more indirect way.
Yes.
And I think that that is a role that kind of Jocasta fits in here in a weird way. That's not something that Magic usually does, but you know, um, yeah. Either way, I think I'm ready to move on here as we rate some more of these. Like, what is that? Photon?
Yes.
Photon. Where are you? There's so many commanders in this set. We're going to be at this a long time. Not necessarily all in one session. There's going to be a few sessions, I'm sure. Okay, Photon, Mighty Marvel. What does she do?
For 3 and red, you get a 2/4 human hero with flying. Whenever Photon deals combat damage to a player, add that much mana of any one color. Until end of turn, you don't lose this mana as steps and phases end.
Okay, this is another one that I'm going to make a maybe kind of strange snap decision on. She's good as a sidekick. And the number one thing that tips me off to that is that it says that much mana of any one color. So if you're playing her as the commander, you're playing mono red, and that limits you somewhat.
That kind of makes her power a little bit worse.
Yeah, but if you're making mana of any color, then that makes her a lot more useful. You can get a color that you're missing, you can spend it on a much wider variety of spells. Plus, as a 2/4, she by default only makes 2 mana. She costs 4, so her ramping isn't as important when it comes like on turn 5 or later, but could be if you're playing multicolor. So she seems okay. Needing to deal combat damage, by the way, is one of the most difficult triggers that you can have on a commander's ability. In fact, I've seen it broken down before and ranked that the easiest kind of abilities to trigger are ones that trigger off a cast. Next easiest are off of entering. The next easiest are going to be ones that you can just activate anytime that you want. Next easiest are going to be ones where they need to lose summoning sickness, so they have to tap. After that are ones where they have to attack. And then finally, like 6th or so on this list, the hardest to do are ones where you have to deal combat damage to a player. Now, she's got flying, and that helps, and you're playing red, so haste is a thing. But still, people underestimate sometimes how high of a bar it can be to deal combat damage to a player in order to get a modest reward. So, I think that's what I have to say about Photon. She does seem okay, but probably better in the 99.
I like it when we have black superheroes that don't have the word black in their superhero name.
Yeah, because that is a thing that they were doing back in like the 60s and 70s.
And it's like, yay representation, but...
I mean, they call it blaxploitation a lot of times, and that is true to some extent, although a lot of those characters now are beloved because they're badasses.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not hating on superheroes who are black who have black in their superhero name. I'm just...
Mm-hmm.
I like it when they don't, because then we're kind of not emphasizing the obvious so much.
Yeah, like, how often do you hear people refer to white Captain America? Doesn't happen that often. Also, Photon you may remember from the WandaVision TV series, where I think her name is Monica Rambeau.
I don't remember.
But also she is a much bigger part of the Marvels movie, which is not beloved, but by the end of it she's kind of come into her own with the powers that she's seen here. Next we have Professor Hulk, which people will remember from Avengers Endgame.
Yep.
The power of the Hulk and the intelligence of Bruce Banner all in one.
And also She-Hulk.
Oh. Yes, she's in that. He's in that.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, what does he do?
Well, for 4 and 2 blue, you get a 6/6 Trampler And whenever Professor Hulk deals combat damage to a player, draw that many cards. And I skipped that he's a Gamma Scientist hero.
He is. They went with Gamma as the creature type for all the Hulk aligned characters.
I wonder how many contract negotiation meetings that took.
I don't know, but it works. And this one is a scientist, of course, because he's got glasses. That's how you know. So 6 mana, 6
And he's wearing a shirt.
Oh yeah.
And a lab coat.
The shirt is kind of tight. You can still see his 8-pack. But let's see. So a 6 mana 6/6 in blue is kind of rare, passing the vanilla test. And then on top of it, trample, which is even more rare in blue. And on top of that, dealing combat damage to draw cards, which is actually very common in blue.
But also but also easier to do with a 6/6 with trample.
Yeah. So this is kind of crazy though, because it's been a while since I've seen a creature in blue that can draw cards equal to the amount of damage it deals. Last time I remember seeing that is on like Cold-Eyed Selkie. Cold-Eyed Selkie, which is blue-green hybrid.
I like how creepy she is.
Oh, I do too. She's a 1/1 island walker. When she deals combat damage to a player, you may draw that many cards. And so usually, the blue implies the island walking and the drawing cards, and the green implies you want to make her bigger, of course, in order to draw more cards. Professor Hulk is not green, I think primarily because he's in the red, white, and blue deck. So they included a version of the Hulk that is not green, even though his skin is.
He's getting multiple versions, though, isn't he?
Oh, of course. There are many Hulks in the wider set here.
We're just focusing on... We just gave the blue to the one that wears glasses.
Mm-hmm. So, the question is, how good is this as a commander? So 6 mana is a lot to invest in a card that doesn't do anything right away. When we're talking about those like ease of mechanics happening, it's not when you cast it, when it enters, when it untaps, it's not an activated ability. It's not even when it attacks. It has to deal combat damage to a player.
And you're going to be doing this like after the 6th turn.
So, and it's in the command zone, so your opponents know that this is something that you're going to try to do at some point. And while blue is the color of like counter spells and various things that say no, or that you can give hexproof and instant speed, that's going to mean that you'd have to wait another 1 or 2 turns later to have 1 or 2 extra mana. And blue isn't known for being that great at hitting all of its land drops on pace or even early like you'd like to. So if this guy had green, he'd be an incredible Hulk. But without that, I think he's going to be a sidekick.
Sorry, buddy. I like you best out of all the Hulks.
Yeah, I'm not sure where exactly to put him along this axis here, but if he had haste, he'd be incredible. If he had hexproof, he'd be incredible. Anything like that. And there are ways of giving him haste and hexproof and stuff in blue, but what are you doing until then, and what are you doing with all those cards? Is it just mono blue generic good stuff? You can probably find a better commander. So then we go to Quicksilver Speedster. Of course, this is one of the characters that there was kind of a legal tug-of-war between Fox and Disney for a while, until now they are one. Because, monopolies aren't something that we care about anymore.
Where's Teddy Roosevelt when you need him?
Yeah. Well, Quicksilver is a speedster who does what?
For 3, a blue, and a red, you get a 3/4 mutant hero. Very straightforward. Mm-hmm. He has Flash, because irony. Also double strike and haste.
Well,
as long as Quicksilver is tapped, you may cast spells as though they had Flash.
Any spells. Okay, and having haste and Flash are a bit redundant, because Flash, you can play it on someone else's turn and then it like untaps and can be used kind of quickly. Haste, you don't need to screw around with that. You can just drop it and then swing. But having both is, it's options. And blue-red, it makes sense.
I still think it's funny that he's Quicksilver, but his card has a bunch of instances of the word Flash.
Oh, okay, I see what you're saying. Because, yeah, the DC's premier speedster
Speedster.
is the Flash.
Maybe that's why he's so angry in this picture.
Maybe. But Double Strike is giving him rapid punches. And honestly, kind of crazy. And as long as he's tapped, you may cast spells as though they had flash. So, strangely, this is a deck that will encourage you to play lots of slow spells.
As if they were not.
Yeah, play lots of spells that are normally slow, and he'll make them fast. Now, also
That's
awkward.
powerful.
Yeah, but also awkward that he's a 5 mana commander. So he comes out later than you'd like. So what are you doing for the first 3 or 4 turns? Probably 4 turns. I mean, you're probably going to try to ramp a little, get out a talisman, get out a signet, but there's only so many of those in red and blue. What is the rest of your strategy? I guess it's playing sorceries at instant speed for giggles. um, I don't know.
But it says spells, not instants and sorceries.
Right. So sorceries are some of the most powerful effects that to be upgraded into instants, but artifacts, creatures, enchantments, all those things could be relevant. You're probably going to do a lot of research with this guy into what enchantments and artifacts and creatures and stuff would have the craziest effects. I mean, I could do searches all day for this guy. I think that he's a prime candidate for wild card.
Really, I kind of think he's super. I mean, the ability to cast spells as though they were, as though they, as though they had flash. I mean, that's anxiety inducing because oh no, anyone could cast. Oh no, he could cast anything at any time, and you're not going to be able to rely on your base of knowledge of the common instance or flash related things because now they all have it.
That's a good point. You're expecting lightning bolt. You're expecting counter spell.
You're
Well, it
braced
could be
for those
freaking
things.
anything. It could be. It could be time warp.
Let's do the time warp again.
Yeah, your opponent. You could attack somebody, and then they start to take their turn, and they set up like a good board or something. You'd be like, you know what? In between your 2 turns, I'm gonna take a turn. Okay. Or I don't know, Devastation Tide. Like,
Basically, if you set up Quicksilver right, your opponents are going to be unprepared for what for what he allows you to throw at them.
Brass's bounty to like make a bunch of treasures on someone's. I don't even know. I'm sure that you can find lots of strong things to do. I can't even think of them all right now.
This guy presents some strong possibilities while still having a coherent theme.
I don't like that he doesn't come out until turn 5. I don't like that he has to become tapped, and so you have to like attack with them. And granted, he can rumble pretty well, all the way up to creatures with like 5 or 6 toughness practically. But you still do gotta turn him sideways or find something else to tap him with, like a Relic of Legends. Yeah, which of course they reprinted as Mjolnir. But you can tap an untapped creature you control to add 1 mana of any color. So that's a way of getting him tapped without having to attack with him. Mm-hmm. So play a few things like this. But I think I stand by putting him at the top of Wildcard, in part because the strategy that you do with him specifically is unclear, and he cannot do it by himself. He needs some good support cards, but this could be a lot of fun. He could even jump all the way up to My Hero. But honestly, I'm not sure if any of these commanders are going to be quite my speed. Maybe nobody's going to make it up to My Hero today. Don't read too much into that. That's
We're
kind of my
still getting
special
going.
place. Yeah. Next, though, we have Rescue, Pepper Potts. Where are you, Rescue? There you go. Rescue was finally featured in the MCU in Avengers Endgame, where Pepper had a suit, mean mugged the audience, and then was in the little girl power moment.
I do like the blue and gold she has going on here. It's lovely.
And in a comic that I read where Tony believed that he was going to die, he left a suit for Pepper to save the day in when he passed away, that was just as effective as any of his Iron Man suits, but had like strictly non-lethal weapons on it. And yeah, she became Rescue then and did go and just save people, not so much murdering aliens. And that was what she wanted to do, so good for her.
And good for Tony for knowing what she wanted.
Yeah. So as a magic card,
For a 1 and a blue, you get a 2/1 human hero with flash and flying. When Rescue enters, return up to one other target artifact or creature you control to its owner's hand. If it was an artifact, put a 1/1 counter on Rescue.
so this is an enters trigger. So while it's pretty easy to get the effect, especially for only 2 mana, especially because she's got flash, that's all well and good. But we do have the monocolor problem, and I think the biggest problem here is that it only triggers when she enters. So you get this one-time effect, and then she's kind of just a 2/1 flying artifact creature, which is thoroughly okay. So honestly, I can pretty quickly and easily put her into the sidekicks, where she is great in the 99. This is a pretty good trick to have, especially in your like Captain America or Nick Fury deck. But I wouldn't want to have her as my commander.
So you put her in wildcard? I thought you put her in...
Did I? Oh shoot! I meant down in sidekicks. In fact, probably around here. Actually, maybe even at the bottom of it, because
Ouch.
drawing extra cards is a huge thing. Every deck wants to draw extra cards. Going wide is a proven strategy. Giving flying is pretty good. Flickering something or like bouncing something you control to its owner's hand is not critical, but it's still a neat trick.
All right, we're moving on to one of the heroes that
Ooh.
I'm following.
Scarlet Witch, Chaotic Avenger.
Woman, go to therapy.
Yeah.
Every time you try to solve your problems with magic, you get traumatized and worlds almost die.
Reality is what I make of it.
Go to therapy! All right, for 2, a blue and a red, you get a 3/3 mutant warlock hero with flying.
Love that they made her a warlock.
Whenever Scarlet Witch deals combat damage to a player, look at the top 2 cards of your library, then exile them face down. Then you may cast a hero or non-creature spell from among cards exiled with Scarlet Witch without paying the mana cost.
Without paying the mana cost, you say?
Whoo boy!
Okay, honestly, it seems like kind of a gimme that they're like, hey, she's in the hero deck. She should be able to cast heroes or something. And someone's like, okay, or hero. But clearly what she's here for is casting non-creature spells for free. And you know what? That's pretty sick.
Yeah.
Actually, because you don't need a whole lot of ramp or haste enabling or stuff like that in order to get her out and get her swinging. And even though I said, dealing combat damage to a player is one of the hardest things, a 4-mana 3/3 with flying is a pretty solid body for doing it. She gives you access to 2 colors, and then the upside is huge. Casting a hero or non-creature spell from among them for free, and it's let's see. Okay, so let me keep track here. You look at the top 2, you exile both of them, then you may cast one of them for free, and that would mean right then. You may cast a hero or non-creature spell from among the cards exiled with Scarlet Witch without paying... Oh, okay. Yes, so while you do have to do it right then, she does build up a collection of spells.
A grimoire, if you will.
So every time she hits, she exiles 2 things. You pick one of them to cast now. And then the next time she exiles 2 new things, you pick one of the 3 to cast now. So it's a little tricky to wrap your head around some of the timing there. That, yes, she does, it appears, build up a grimoire and cast immediately. This does get around timing restrictions, but it does happen at the end of combat. So you can like take an extra combat at the end of combat, or take an extra turn at the end of combat, or play a creature or whatever else. Honestly, she seems sick as hell.
Hell yeah.
This might be the best Scarlet Witch to build as your commander. I think we're putting her all the way up in my hero.
Yes!
Yes, we got one. We got one that's genuinely exciting. It's a cool character. It's a cool ability.
I rag on her a lot, but I love her story.
Yeah, honestly, I support women's rights out here, and we support women's wrongs. And she's done plenty of both.
Yep.
So, continuing on, we next have Shang-Chi and the Ten Rings. What is he doing for us?
For a 1, a white, and a blue, you get a 2/2 human warrior hero with first strike. Whenever you draw a card, put a 1/1 counter on Shang-Chi. When the 10th 1/1 counter is put on Shang-Chi, you draw 5 cards and gain 5 life.
Not bad. I mean, 5 life is kind of whatever. But drawing 5 cards is awesome. That is usually the push that a commander deck needs in order to go from like the first half of the game to the second half, and you can usually close it out as long as those individual cards are pretty good. And he triggers whenever you draw a card. So you're playing blue-white, so you've got lots of ways of drawing cards. I love that he's got first strike. That works really well for a martial artist because he wants to rumble. And
Makes sense.
He hits fast. He's got the rings that can detach and reattach to create a kind of ranged weapon from them. So though, getting 10 counters on him is tough. You need to draw 10 cards in order to get 10 counters on him naturally.
Oof, get them card draw cards. Get that
And
draw.
he gets you 1 automatically per turn, but you want to... Of course, you can't wait 10 turns for this. That's ridiculous. So your deck should be full of cards that say, like, draw a card or 2 on them. Blue's got all of those that you could ever want. So you can just keep on rumbling with him, get the 10th counter on him. But the weird thing is that it only triggers when the 10th counter is put on him. Ideally, though, we would get 10 counters on him again.
Yes.
So, I showed you earlier...
Nesting Dovehawk?
No, actually, the card, Power Conduit. This could be perfect. You can get the 10th counter on him, draw a bunch of cards, gain a bunch of life, then remove the 10th counter from him, and then put it back on again. Yay!
Does that work?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. It does. Another way you could do it is if you, return him to your hand or exile him, but removing the 10th counter and then putting it back on with something like Power Conduit is even better. But there aren't that many effects that do it, but there are a few. So, how good is he on his own? I think that he's not quite good enough on his own, but I think he makes for a good wildcard commander, as with a little support, he doesn't need as much help as some of the rest of these. With a little support, I think he can be quite good. So I'm going to put him up here.
And now we're going for another one of my favorites.
Oh, yeah. And I was actually surprised given how, like, the mixed reaction to She-Hulk, the TV show, has been, and, comics have kind of come in and out of favor, that she's got, like, 5 different variations in this set. So we've got lots to choose from.
But I'm happy because season 2, maybe? Please?
I would love for there to be a season 2. Honestly, I liked that show, and I love it even more considering the worst people I know hated it.
Yeah.
So, let's take a closer look at She-Hulk Wallbreaker.
All right, for 5 and a red, you get a 5/5 Gamma hero with Trample. Other heroes you control have Trample. Whenever a hero you control becomes blocked, put a 1/1 counter on that hero for each creature blocking it.
Honestly, right out the gate here, I'm thinking Psychic Material. 6 mana is slow. Monocolor, we've talked about. She helps other heroes, so it's a deck that wants to play lots of heroes. But if you're stuck playing just mono red heroes, that's going to limit you a lot. If you're playing 2 or 3 colors, she seems like a really good piece in it. So this She-Hulk can pretty easily go into Sidekick, but a pretty strong one, somewhere around her cousin, Professor Hulk. I'm going to lean towards maybe here because drawing extra cards is maybe even better. But these are some pretty powerful effects, and she's very strong.
Oh, yeah.
If you really wanted to, you could play her as your commander. If she was the only version of She-Hulk out there, then, maybe you would. But she's not. There's this one, and then there's like 3 others. So we'll see more of her in future videos.
Looks like Thor's next.
Yep. Thor.
And what a coincidence. We're recording this on a Thor's Day.
Oh! Asgard's Avenger. Okay, so...
For 2 and 2 red, you get a 4/4 God Warrior Hero with flying. If another source you control would deal damage to an opponent or permanent an opponent controls, it deals that much damage +1!
Flee, villain, for mine is the power of the very lightning itself. I do kind of love that originally, even in the MCU, they were doing like Shakespearean language for him. But they kind of gave up on that after a movie or 2.
Which is kind of a shame because it's really funny. But then again, I guess it makes sense that Thor would acclimate eventually.
As a bit, it was good up through at least the first Avengers movie, but then on his own, like as a star, it makes less sense for him to have like a comedy relief character, or to be the comedy relief character in his own movies, so...
Yeah, he did a fair amount of that in the first movie.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, is that he was still
doing another
these and thous and I don't understand humanity and all that stuff. But
getting hit by a car a lot.
Yeah.
That was funny.
So 4 mana 4/4, we're passing the vanilla test with literally flying colors.
Oh yeah.
And increasing the amount of damage that your sources would deal by 1. Isn't that strong when you're going from 3 to 4 or from 5 to 6? But if you're going from 1 to 2, that's actually really strong. And it counts damage to opponents and permanent opponents' control. So this seems like it's at its best in decks that throw around 1 damage to everything a lot.
A lot of bopping.
Yeah, the best example I can think of for that is Pyrohemia. Have they reprinted Pyrohemia recently? Other than a secret lair with Kratos on it? Not really. Pyrohemia, though. You want to read that one, actually?
For 2 and 2 red, you get... At the beginning of the end step, if no creatures are on the battlefield, sacrifice Pyrohemia. For red, Pyrohemia deals 1 damage to each creature and each player, so everything gets bopped.
Yep, and with Thor, that becomes everyone gets bopped for 2 for only 1 mana at instant speed and repeatable. And as long as a creature lives, then you get to keep on doing it turn after turn. So that can really add up. And I would highly recommend it if he's your commander. However, okay. Also, there's a bit of a thing with burn in Commander. Burn spells like Lightning, Bolt, and stuff like that have very limited use because creatures do get bigger. There are more of them because you have 3 opponents, and your opponent's life totals are larger at 40 each, and there are 3 of them. So trying to turn a deck that can just blast out 20 damage to a player's face in mono red, compared to turning out a deck that can blast out 40 damage to 3 opponents' faces in mono red in Commander, it's much more difficult. So people have been trying to crack that nut for years. Is Thor here the answer to it? I don't think so.
He might be part of the answer, but probably not the central piece.
Yes, I think you're going to be better off with Ohertak. Wait, no, Oher Ashenil, actually. Oher Ashenil. I think that's how you pronounce it. I watched the cultural video about him. He's very cool. He has a Tyrannosaurus for an arm.
Yep.
And he says that if a red source you control would deal an amount of non-combat damage less than his power to an opponent, that deals power damage equal to his power instead. So he's a 4-mana 4/4 trampler that all of your pyrohemias, instead of doing 2 damage, now do 4 damage. Your pings now do 4 damage instead of 1. If you boost his power with any kind of equipment, then it can be even more than 4 damage. So this is one of the better ways. Also, Toralf, I think is his name. The Thor with the nameplate filed off might be a better commander for burn, considering whenever a creature or planeswalker an opponent controls is dealt excess non-combat damage, Toralf deals damage equal to the excess to any target other than that permanent. So this way you can turn a lightning bolt into killing 3 small creatures. You can turn a fireball into killing entire armies, and if you have any damage increasing effects like Thor in the 99, every time that he changes the target, it adds 1 onto it again. So you can stack the +1 effects multiple times.
You know what's funny? Toralf is actually a little more accurate than our friend the Mighty Thor.
Because of this kind of hammer?
Oh, not just because of that. I'm mainly talking about the fact that Toralf is a redhead.
Oh yeah, he's ginger. Which is canon, isn't it?
Yep, in the mythology, Thor is described as having red hair.
By the way, I have heard that in some cultures, the word for ginger means light hair. And that is the justification for Thor being blonde in the comics. And in some other things.
Yeah, I don't think I'm buying it.
Yeah, especially because Norse mythology, you're talking about Scandinavia and to a lesser extent Scotland. There's a lot of Norse mythology stuff in Scotland too, I think. But regardless, also of course, if you're playing Toralf as your commander, you can also play Toralf's Hammer, which can do some direct damage and buffs legendary creatures. So you just got options here. So I would recommend Toralf as a commander over this Thor. So I'm going to say he is a sidekick, strangely enough. Maybe somewhere around here. Because you really do need to have a burn deck. I'm not sure that multicolor would help that much with the burn deck, but he's not the best in the in the commander slot. So next we have War Machine. Iron Man's friend.
That guy is called the Wizard.
What? Did you see Wizard?
Yes, but we don't have time to get into that.
Okay. We'll see the Wizard some other day, I think. Okay. And War Machine, Avenging Arsenal. What does he do?
For 4 and a red, you get a 3/5 human hero with flying. Whenever War Machine attacks, attacking modified creatures you control gain double strike until end of turn.
Whoa.
Isn't War Machine like a bad guy?
No, actually. War Machine was first shown in the MCU in Iron Man 2. He is Rhodes, Tony's best friend, and a soldier in the military.
Okay, never mind.
And
I don't know what I'm talking about.
He gets fitted out with a bunch of guns. He's just Iron Man, but focus on the guns.
Gun-ho.
Yes. He also does get repainted and rebranded at one point as the Iron Patriot, because he's officially part of the United States military. And he gets like red, white, and blue on him. And at one point, even the president of the United States wears the War Machine armor, but he sucks, so they just do it like for photo ops kind of things. But War Machine here, despite being mono red, is kind of a badass. Okay. I'm gonna put him in wild cards, and then I'm gonna justify it. And I'm gonna put him right near the top. Because what I'm seeing as my kind of running theme for wild cards is that they have potential, but they aren't that awesome on their own. They clearly need a thing or two to start going ham. And he says your modified creatures gain double strike. He doesn't have a built-in way of modifying creatures like Tony Stark does.
Right.
Because honestly, it actually fits the lore that Rhodes is not an engineer, he's a pilot. So he does not know how to modify these things himself, But you can easily pack your deck with +1/+1 counters, auras, and most likely equipment. And then your modified creature, then you've got modified creatures, and gaining double strike is huge. Honestly, this guy has double strike is one of the biggest upsides that you can have. So I kind of think this guy's awesome. I showed Lava Spur Boots earlier that gives haste, ward 1, and an extra power. He would love that. Him being a 4/5 flying double strike ward 1 is haste is incredible. And then you can move that around to any of your creatures that you want. Hell, you can use Lightning Greaves in this deck because it equips for 0. There's just all kinds of equipment. But I think your best bet, the thing to maybe look out for, is going to be mechanics like, and I'm going to do an actual search here, mechanics like job. Oh no, it shouldn't be on typeline. It should be on the text. Job select, where this creates a hero with an equipment attached to it, and so it is both a creature and a modification at the same time. So look for cards that are both creatures and modifications together. So equipment that make creatures like Job Select, or like one that you might not remember, for Mirrodin. For Mirrodin, there are some equipment that enter and create a red rebel, and then attach this to them. Those are instantly modified creatures. And some of them, like Hexplate Wallbreaker, is really good because it gets you extra combats. So look for those. I think there's one other mechanic like that, like Living Weapon. Look for those kind of things. And also creatures that enter with like +1/+1 counters on them, stuff like that. And I think he becomes super sick. So you don't even need other colors, honestly. So yeah, I think he's awesome. I would almost put him up in my hero, but I don't personally think I'm going to build another mono red deck right now. So we'll look next at the Wasp, Winsome Avenger. Where are you? Oh, wait, is she alphabetically under the? I bet she is. Let's go back. Oh, Jesus.
There she is.
The Wasp, Winsome Avenger. All right, what does she do?
For 1 and a blue, you get a 2/1 human hero with flash and flying.
Okay.
When the Wasp enters, target hero gains hexproof until end of turn. Whenever the Wasp attacks, tap target creature defending player controls.
Honestly, this reminds me a lot of Rescue in that a 2-mana flash flying 2/1 in blue that cares about heroes. However, Rescue bounces one of your creatures and gets a counter. Neat. This gives hexproof as an enter trigger, and that's a good trick. That's a really good trick. You really want to have hexproof sometime to deal with Swords to Plowshares and Chaos Warp and all that stuff. But also, she has the repeated effect of when she attacks, you tap target creature defending player controls. That makes her a much better creature. Honestly, where have I got Rescue right now? At the bottom of Sidekick? Yeah.
Yep.
The Wasp. I'm still hesitant to make her your commander straight up because I don't think that this is a particularly powerful thing to have in the command zone. But she's a much better sidekick than most of these, honestly. She's going to be like way up here. So, Pepper Pot's a barely... like, she might make the cut in the 99 in a hero deck. The Wasp will. If you're playing blue and you're playing heroes, the Wasp needs to be in the 99. You'd be a fool not to. One other flavor note about the Wasp, she is one of the original 6 Avengers from the comics way back in the day, and she, like Hank Pym Ant-Man, got shafted when they made Marvel's Avengers movie, and they went with Black Widow instead, and who else did they do instead? I forget.
As far as women are concerned, nobody.
As far as characters in the original Avengers are concerned, Black Widow instead of the Wasp. Winter Soldier. Well,
I'd have to look it up.
yeah. So you can actually see in the art for Captain America Team Leader, they do have the original squad from the comics, where you've got Ant-Man in there and you've got the Wasp. And, okay, it's Hulk, Thor, Iron Man, Hawkeye. Hawkeye, I thought was also... You know what? I think he was like the first Avenger to be added to the group, even though he's like the sporting goods Avenger. Someone went to Dick's Sporting Goods and just said like, "Hey, you're good with a bow. Why don't you become one of Earth's mightiest defenders, alongside a literal god, and like the smartest man on the planet." Anyway, we are now looking for Winter Soldier Reborn Avenger.
Bucky has it rough.
Oh yeah. Oh, this art. Okay. He's saving Cap when he didn't have to.
Yep.
Okay. All right. What does he do?
For 4 and a white, you get a 3/5 human soldier hero. Whenever Winter Soldier attacks, return target creature card with mana value less than or equal to Winter Soldier's power from your graveyard to the battlefield. If a hero enters this way, it enters with an additional 1/1 counter on it.
This has got to be a sidekick. I mean, Bucky was born to be a sidekick, and it's a little sad that even coming back as the Winter Soldier, he's still kind of born to be a sidekick. And I'm thinking they go somewhere around the middle. 5 mana for a 3/5 is really underwhelming. And having him do nothing until he attacks, and even then he does nothing unless you have a dead creature, and even then the dead creature has to have a mana value less than his power. And even then, he doesn't have First Strike, Vigilance, Flying, Hexproof, nothing. Ward 1, nothing. And he comes out on turn 5? Does he not have a mechanical arm that can punch real good? Why does he only have 3 power but 5 toughness?
Well, right now he's using that mechanical arm to save somebody, so he's a little busy.
Yeah, I mean, being able to return a creature from your graveyard to the battlefield and being a hero at that to get an extra counter is pretty good, but actually, you know what? You know what? No.
Oh!
Sorry, Winter Soldier. And you know what? I've changed my mind. Sorry, Rescue. Pepper Potts, I think that you do not make the 99, and I'm not sure you do either. You because your effect is too small, and you because your effect comes too late, and that the overall card is not worth it for 5 mana.
Sorry, Senator.
Once again, if you really love Winter Soldier, while you could build this, you could also build one of the other Winter Soldiers. This is not the only other one. This one also kind of sucks, but there's others in the main set, so build one of them.
We'll get to them.
As we approach the last new legendary creature in the Avengers Commander deck, where we have Vision, Synthezoid Avenger.
Shouldn't this have come before W?
It should have. I messed up the alphabet a little bit.
Okay. Vision's another one of my favorites.
Oh, yeah.
He's one of the ones I'm also following.
And Paul Bettany is charming as heck.
Yeah, and I just kind of like Vision as a character overall. He's kind of like... I remember when he first appeared in Age of Ultron, and I'm like, am I supposed to feel this way when I see Superman? Because I don't feel this way when I see Superman.
Yeah, he's like Data if Data was a superhero. Or if he was trying his best to be a hero and could also fly and shoot lasers out of his face.
So, yeah, I'm basically on board with that.
And he's a sweetie.
Yes. He's trying to understand humanity, but he's not completely detached from it. He's like, no, I do kind of get people. Maybe not all the way, but I am able to blend in more or less.
I always loved his line, "After all, I was born yesterday."
See, he's even got humor figured out.
Yeah. All right, so what does he do, though?
For 4 mana, you get a 3/3 robot hero with flying. Whenever a player casts a spell, if it isn't that player's turn, choose one. Put a 1/1 counter on Vision, or Vision phases out.
This is a tough one, because once again, we're talking about a colorless commander, and colorless is the least colors. So that means that you have access to not a lot of options if this is your commander.
You basically have Eldrazi and artifacts,
Pretty
and
much.
that's and not much else.
Yeah, nothing else is really built in. They'd have to make something new, and I think we will see later in these reviews another colorless commander that does go in a different direction, and it's going to be interesting.
Looking
But
forward to it.
but this guy, the main thing that he does is get counters and phase. Phasing is a defensive ability here. He triggers whenever anyone casts a spell. You know, this could work, but the problem is that
It's very dependent on what the other players are doing.
yes, you are going to be casting spells. He will get counters that way. He can even phase out, but he's going to be triggering more often off what your opponents do. And if you're playing colorless, you have very few access to instants that you can do.
Right.
There's only like 3 colorless instants. There's quite a few artifacts with flash. A lot of them are kind of trash, but there's a few good ones. Like, let's see. I think it's, oh shoot, what's it called? Urza's Battle Thopter?
For a moment, I thought you were going to type in Urza's bath.
Oh, Urza's Hot Tub.
What?
Haha!
What?
Yeah!
What?
It's a silver bordered card.
What?
Wizards.com/hot tub. It was a thing
Why?
for a while. Yeah, well, you said Urza's bathtub, and it's a thing. Kind of. Anyway, Liberator, Urza's Battle Thopter, is probably the best card for a Vision deck. Because 3 mana flash flying means that you can, of course, trigger him at instant speed. 3 mana is very reasonable. It's a 1/2 flying, and you may cast colorless spells and artifact spells as though they had flash.
Woof.
Bam!
Make sure you don't lose that, though, because then it kind of knocks out your strategy.
Yeah, I mean, then Shimmermere, I think, is Urza's Battle Thopter that we have at home. Because it's the same mana cost for a 2/2 that doesn't have flying and doesn't get bigger. And also doesn't affect your colorless non-artifact spells, which can include some really strong things. Okay, I've kind of gone back and forth on this. Your opponents get to do it most of the time, but you do get to do it sometimes. Also, important things, rules about phasing. It's still on the battlefield, so it doesn't count as leaving the battlefield or entering when you phase it. You just ignore it. It's a little bit of mental gymnastics.
I think of it as somebody leaving to use the bathroom, like they're treated as though they're there, but they're not.
Yes, or another way I like to think of it sometimes is like you place a napkin on top of him so that he's like on the table but not on the table. This dodges board wipes. This dodges any targeted spell. Dodges any of that, and permanents automatically phase back in at the beginning of your turn during your untap step when normally nothing can happen except untapping. And whenever a creature phases out, yes, it phases out as well anything attached to him. So auras phase out with him and come back still attached. Equipment phase out with him, come back attached. And the +1 counters stay on him. So actually having a commander that grows, flies, dodges removal, this is actually pretty good.
But it's colorless.
It's colorless. I'm not quite sure what the rest of the deck is. So I think what I'm going to do here, I'm going to put him at the top of Wildcard. Because actually, the card has potential. I'm just not sure what you're doing with the rest of the deck. I assume flash artifact stuff. I don't know how cohesive of a strategy that is, how reliant on the vision itself it is, but he's actually kind of good. Maybe you turn it into Voltron? Although then you'd really want to give him Vigilance or something, because he won't block for you that good if he's also attacking for you good.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he's got some interesting potential. And of course, you could throw him in the 99 of any commander deck, including a Wanda deck, just because, if you want. Which brings us to the end of the Avengers Commander deck for Marvel Superhero. The first of 4 Commander decks, not to mention there are more cards in the Commander subset using this symbol that are part of Jumpstart, and there's the whole main set that has like 200 freaking legends in it. So this is the first of many.
Yep. Get used to it, folks. We're in for a long haul.
Yeah, we're gonna consider trying to like crash course a few more Marvel movies and TV shows real fast, to catch each other up on a couple of things that we've missed.
I now
We'll
have a crush
see.
on Daredevil.
Oh yeah, I've been working on that. We watched Moon Knight and we watched Daredevil, and we've got a few others that we're looking at. So yeah, I mean Matt Murdock, Daredevil, he's steamy.
Yes.
Have you noticed the lighting in that show is really like romance movie lighting?
Not
Oh,
really.
it's so romantic, the lighting that's used in that show.
I'll pay closer attention, but I'm actually getting more, well, not horror movie exactly, but we use a lot of red, and we're associating it with evil, typically.
Well, I'm thinking like the scenes in the apartments with him and Night Nurse, with him and Karen. Yeah.
I'll think about it.
Yeah. Very romantic coded, if you ask me. All that said, we're going to catch you in the next one, and the next one, and the next one, and the next one. Ah!
Bye-bye!